Yes,
Hello,
sir.
Boss Lifestyle Club. Welcome back. Today in the building, we got the one and only, the guy who was able to go from zero to absolutely 100K followers on TikTok, and just to mention the least that he has done in less than 8 months. John, it's a pleasure to have you in the building as we discuss how you built the following in those short months.
Thanks for having me again to the show. Man,
Yes.
incredible. I was the first one in the show.
Yeah.
Is it in the show or on the show?
As long as they get the point.
Yeah, I was the first one, and then having me back, such a tremendous growth, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, once you have someone like myself here on the show, definitely, I know that I'm going to be the next boss in
Yeah.
this boss lifestyle club.
Tell them. Tell them.
It's incredible, man. How are you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Uh-huh.
It's great to see you. It's great to see you. Still looking like a 25-year-old.
Thanks, man.
And
This old man in his late 30s.
and yet you're still crushing it, not only in your personal life but also in your business life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So are you ready about today's topic?
Super excited for these, man.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
you can tell.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's take the audience a white back when you were starting,
Yeah.
where the ideology came from, and what where did the thought of focusing on your career as an electrical and electrician engineer come from?
Wow. So growing up
Yeah.
as a child, there's this thing that really inspired me. And it was, I loved exploring things to do with wires, motherboards, circuits. And I was really fascinated about some of the things that you take for granted. For instance, how does a bicycle have its lamp working at top speed,
Yeah.
and then when you slow it down, the lamp is not as bright, it gets dim. So those are some of the things that really excited me
Yeah.
about the wiring and everything. And so I was really invested in that, and it has been my passion. Sometimes I always say, like, I was born to do this and nothing else can change. And then I got a very great boost from my father.
Hmm.
My father used to buy a lot of items that would really propel me towards my passion.
Yeah.
We had a lot of wires in the house.
Nice.
We had a battery, an old battery, and a solar panel, tapes, insulating tapes,
Nice.
and then a pliers would never miss. So those are some of the things that
I guess that made your mom really happy because she didn't have to worry about the technical things that a man is supposed to do in the house.
definitely.
Yeah.
My first wiring, actually, I did was solar. It was wiring in our house, every room, and I was 12 years old in class
Whoa.
6.
Whoa.
All that I needed to know was have a source, the battery,
Yeah.
and that is a room, that the other one is a room, know how to get this power from this source to that room. And then something else that excited me was about switch.
Tell me about
How
it.
do you now connect a switch so that the light in that room is off,
Yeah.
the other one, and the light in the other room is on?
Yeah.
So my sisters, my mother, they also appreciated that.
Hmm.
So it really, I was so fortunate growing up because of the support from my family.
Well, that sounds incredible. So, what was your parents' or your family's reaction when you pulled that off at 12 years of age?
um I'll talk about probably my sisters were, we were just living life, so they were not as much interested in that,
Yeah.
until when they would notice that there is no light in a certain room, and they had to come with the kawaida lantern,
Yeah.
the one that uses fuel.
Yeah.
That is when I would feel that they recognize my effort, because I would do it intentionally so that they will recognize. Because when the light was working,
Yeah.
no one talked about anything. So that was from my sister's perspective. My mother was always fascinated about that. For my dad, he would not say it directly,
Yeah.
because he was also finding a balance between, okay, this guy can blow up things in the house,
Yeah.
because there were times where I would leave wires naked, and yet there is an insulating tape, and wires would short circuit in the house. So he was really reserved in terms of, okay, I don't want to praise him. He never praised me.
Okay.
What he used to do to, at least pump up my ego, he would come with his friends, and then like kind of summon me and ask, so how do you get that light working, and then have a switch there, and then you can control that switch? Who taught you that? So that was my heroic moment,
Yeah.
for me to explain to his friends as well as brag, because I was a kid, and then having these old men here, explaining to them, I felt like this is a concert, man.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a concert. So I'm explaining to people how I got the light working and everything. So, but he would never like go, congrats. But some of the things that made me believe that I had his backup
Yeah.
was that I never lacked a tape, appliance in the home. There was always a battery, even though it was old, and our solar panel. So it continued helping me in building up my curiosity, adventuring, and everything.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like you were set up for this journey.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think every great person, including the people we recognize in the world today, such as Elon, Mark Zuckerberg, and even Bill Gates, they're calling. If you look at all their biographies, right? They all started within age 11 and 12. That's where your real passion in life comes from, right? And within that age, when that seed is born, you keep with it, exploring on it, until one day you do things and people are like, hey, how did you do that? You don't know how long you've been in the game. It's a game fueled by a seed that was fueled by passion, and yet you've been in the game for quite long enough.
Absolutely.
So yeah, here you are, and then you kind of went like that. I bet you went to school, you became an engineer officially. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you started a business,
Mm-hmm.
and the business is still in the field that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive into that. Talk a little bit more about that. Like, when did you decide that you want to do this thing like everybody else in the market today? Because I bet a lot of electricians, they'd rather do on a be employed by a huge company such as KPLC,
Yeah.
or if that's not the case, be doing buildings and all that kind of stuff as an employee, or try to aim as a contractor and all that kind of stuff. But you are one of the few electricians who's built a brand for themselves, who's built a huge following on socials, and you're not stopping. You're just pouring the gas on the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So where did that idea come from, and what were you thinking? Like, what future did you see at that?
Well, talking about social media, I identified a gap.
Uh-huh.
So I thought, there are many electricians, and especially when we talk about my field of expertise, electrical, from the word go, has had people who would want to deal with only technical aspects of things.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, for instance, someone would come to your house, and they want to, you have called them in to fix something that is electrical or technical.
Hmm.
All they will want to do is to focus on that thing. And so most of us, we are not fixated on human relations.
Yeah.
Okay? So I just want to go to Boss Lifestyle Club. What is the issue there? They have an issue with the lighting. All right. I don't care about other stuff. I don't care about whether they know how it works or not. Mine is to fix it. have it working, get my pay, and then go.
Mm-hmm.
So I identified that people online on social media are also taking that there. For instance, you talk about a lithium battery, you talk about an inverter, or you can even talk about something simple like, let's say, a bulb or solar.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I identified that someone will come to your house, fix that solar, fix that battery or that backup system,
Yeah.
but they will not want to share information with the customer. Either they are they you know they don't see a need for it, or probably they assume that probably you will not be interested.
Yeah.
But I thought, if I can make everything simple in the manner that I can understand the solar panel or understand how things work, and then try to figure out an easier way to explain to a layman, then there's a gap there. Okay, my fellow electricians are not into explaining concepts in a simple way, so this is a gap
Yeah.
in the market. As you know, because you've been there for like ages, you understand that people are really fixated in how things work and everything. But again, someone will want to know things in a simpler way without taking as much time as possible. So I discovered that most electrical technicians are not taking that advantage, and therefore there is that gap. So for me, identifying the gap, it has really helped me, because so many people, especially my followers,
Yeah.
have appreciated that. And most of them tell me that, you explain tough concepts in a simple way, and therefore that is why we camp here. And so out of that, I've been able to grow my numbers. At the beginning, it was tough, very tough.
Tell me about it.
It is like coming up with a habit.
Yeah.
So you see, for you to start a habit, like for instance, taking water, a certain quantity of water every day. At first, it will be difficult because you have to remind yourself. You'll even go to the supermarket to get a certain bottle with a
Yeah.
certain capacity, so that you are able to, fulfill that target. So all of these are hard processes. The moment you have it in your mind and you have automated that sequence, then it becomes so easy.
Easy. Yeah.
So at first, it was so difficult for me to even convince people to like my content. But again, this is what I used to do. I would post content, and then at the end of the day, when I would go back to check, I thought probably I have like 10 likes or 20 or 100, only to find that it was only one, the one that I myself liked.
Yeah.
And then, so it was difficult at first, but again, I had to trick my mind. Well, after 24 hours getting only one like from myself, I would trick my mind and be like, oh, you're doing great. Already you have one like, bro. You're doing great. So I would force myself to keep on producing content, even though it was not doing well. And then, fortunately, it has gotten to a point where now it picked up and it's now on autopilot.
Yeah.
So right now I can log into Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and I find that people are now reacting to even the first videos that I used to do. So yeah, it is a lot of hard work at first, and then once you are able to, overcome that hill, then things will pick up on themselves.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know about this, but Judy, are you able to pick up the socials? We can start with his TikTok account, and then we can push to YouTube, and then we can go to Facebook.
That would be so great.
Yes. So yeah, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing page, Judy.
Thank you.
Please click on the right there. And I'm not sure how we're not following. Just go ahead and follow on that. There you have it, guys. There you have it, folks. 115K followers, and Damn, that's a lot of. That's I see you try to follow people as well.
Yeah, sure.
And it's not even enough. It must be really tough to follow 1,894 people.
Actually, that number is not as much as I would want to get, because I like following back a majority of my audience
Yeah,
who are electricians.
nice.
I speak to a lot of electricians because, again, I thought to myself, this is an area where I have lived all my life.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
experiences in terms of business, in terms of the technical aspect itself, has been my life.
Uh huh.
So I thought, why not niche down
Yeah, follow, please.
to only speaking to electricians? So I try to follow those accounts, and
Yeah.
especially the accounts which speak for themselves. For instance, if you, like, let's say, talk about Boss Lifestyle Club, when you come to that account, you definitely know that I want to boss up,
Yeah.
I want to change my lifestyle. So for accounts that I normally follow back are those that are also fellow electricians in the.
Yeah. So you mean it's very intentional to just follow electricians in your field, or people who are really congruent to your channel?
Well, I follow electricians
Uh huh.
as well as what on a personal level I think can help me get better in life and
Mhm.
also in business. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's super strategic. I respect that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think it's just that game when see value being created and part of that value, it's touching you in one or the other.
Mhm.
Then there's no need to deny it.
Sure.
Just accept it. Don't live in denial.
Again, to add on that, sometimes I feel like people are dealing with social media
Yeah.
as if they're dealing with bots, or they are dealing with, just algorithms.
Tell me about it.
Replace algorithms
Mhm.
with people, real people.
Uh huh.
Like, for instance, the way we are having this conversation.
Replace algorithm with real people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is the same way on social media you are dealing with people. So don't just assume that this is something on TikTok, or whenever I go to TikTok to post content, I know that I'm posting to real humans.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm on YouTube, I know this is a different human on YouTube. And so I treat them as humans on YouTube. And therefore, every comment, every interaction, whether it's liking or sharing, sometimes I even go to specific accounts whereby I get the notification that so and so shared your video.
Yeah.
I go to their account and thank them for sharing my content,
Huh.
because this is a human being,
Yeah.
has watched you, has seen that there is some value, they have interacted. They could have chosen not to,
But they took the time.
they took their time. That is why I always appreciate them, and I have a name for them:
Tell me about it.
Top Boss.
Top boss is the top heights,
Boss.
electricals and electricians.
Yes, because
Alright.
if at all someone does not interact with my content,
Mm-hmm.
that content is like dead. It will not be pushed.
Yeah.
So if someone interacts with my content in a manner of commenting, liking, sharing, and everything, it keeps me going, and I go back to social media to create content. And there are some people who even go to an extent of requesting me something.
Yeah.
If today you decided to do, like, let's say, farming, and you're doing, like, let's say, flower pots on the balcony, and you are developing a garden on the balcony, and someone gets an interest in that, and they come to ask you questions, like they say, okay, you have been doing a lot of white flowers, why can't you also show us how to do those flowers or those plants on the balcony which can repel mosquitoes?
Yeah.
So
Or even cockroaches.
yes, so you are like, well, this person has found some interest in what I do. They have given me feedback, and they want me to do something else, that means this person will still watch another content that you will release. They have probably followed you. They have even clicked on the notification bell. Do you know how much work that is?
Yeah.
Ask me about it, because for me to, follow someone, to interact in a way of, let's say, commenting on their content, I think it's a lot of work. So when people do that, you don't leave them on hanging or on red or ignore them, appreciate them. And that is why I appreciate all my top bosses.
I've never had that. I'm just gonna be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because in yes, as you've mentioned, in the modern day,
Yeah.
it's very rare to come across a top boss like yourself
Mhm.
who actually respects your followers, the people who go ahead and press that share button,
Yeah.
or they come to you with a request and you approach them with a positive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've seen that in I'd say one-on-one basis in the offline world. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah.
But I'm not into social as much as you are, or haven't developed my specialty as much as you are, which is why we appreciate what you're doing there.
Thank you.
And so but hasn't mean that I haven't come across other influences, right? And yeah, those guys kind of treat you like, yo, I'm a star. I'm a top of the game. I'm a top of the food chain. So whatever I'm gonna do is gonna make sense. It's up to you to choose to follow or not. And that's kind of an egotistical or narcissistic way to approach business, because
Absolutely.
that's like when fame becomes detrimental, right? Because I think there has to be that balance between you understanding why you're doing things
Yeah.
versus you just doing them for an egotistical thing.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that you're doing this because you appreciate yourself, your business, and you appreciate the people who respond to your business and they want to get the truth out of it. I haven't come across, by the way, it's for those of you who are out there, you know how hard it is to grow from 0 to 100K followers. I've been in the game long enough to see people who are trying to do that and they have it. Believe me, it's not easy. It's not easy. And the people who do even reach 10K, and I've seen them, they're treated like goats. They're treated,
here,
yeah.
sure.
Once they get there, they're like, you can't tell them anything.
100%. And what you're saying is, it took me time to also understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because first I thought, if I have 1,000 people,
Uh-huh.
I need to, brag a little bit. If I have 5,000, at least I thought someone out there needs to, show me some respect. 10,000 is something else. When I get to 50,000 or 100,000, you guys need to worship me. But again, I have taken a lot of time to learn on social media that a lot of people
Yeah.
will relate with you if you are able to calm down and relate with them. So if I'm up there, it is so hard for people who are down here to relate with me.
I think you've said it best.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all in the relatability.
Exactly.
If you cannot create an environment, by the way, that's the one measure. If you want to see how a business is doing
Yeah.
and how likely is very much to go up, nobody wants to sit with a guy who is perfect, all knowing, all perfect, because flaws is part of humanity. And
Yeah.
if I'm able to relate with what you're going through on a day-to-day basis, or why you do this thing and you still, you could have that ability to pull away, but
Yeah.
you're not, then it means a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what even most businesses are missing. Like, if you look at every top brand that went out there and went out of business,
Yeah.
if you want to see a failing economy, is when everybody at the top just start creating their own circle or
Yeah.
a bubble
Yeah.
of their own, and that bubble is very mental. It's not even something that exists. It's just them who think that they're superior, or they have reached, they have arrived, right? And that is a mindset that has refused growing.
Sure.
And how detrimental is that? Because one thing is, once they reach there, they realize, oh, life has to move on, and there's no such thing as bridging. So within no time, they come back with a thunder. And we even have some sayings about that. Aliyejua ngoje
Ngoje
chini.
chini,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but only if you stop growing, or
Mm.
once you start seeing, once you start respecting accolades instead of respecting people, because people is what business is. Business is about people. I can't sell you just for the sake of selling.
Yeah.
We all hate that's neediness,
Mm.
because neediness means I have something, I have a concept in my head, and I'm not ready to let it go because I want to listen to you first,
Sure.
right? And a lot of people like those, they've made like the social media game become very bad. They've made businesses become sour, or clients refuse to work with people or have a bad taste in their mouth just because somebody somewhere was ignorant, or they've never been there, then they took it for granted because that's all that is. And I respect that. I think it's all the same stuff with money. Once you start
Sure.
getting some money, and then you start thinking like, hey, I got more than enough money, so why don't just people
Respect me or something.
respect me, or they start treating me like I'm the, excellency, the one on top. Yo, there's something called a whip rash.
Tell me about it.
Life is gonna tell you. It's called karma, I guess.
Yeah.
Life is gonna tell you, you come here, man. So you've been acting like you are the end all be all, and you can't even appreciate other people. So you start throwing away other people. So if it's like bosses who run companies, the employee starts running away in search of greener pastures, people who are going to recognize their effort. And yeah, this is a great people.
Yeah.
And then if it's a client, they start picking up on this mentality, and then they also start going to competitors because it's starting from the top. And eventually what's happened is the business starts experiencing decline in sales. Yeah, feel comfortable.
Yeah,
It's,
thank you.
it's this is meant for you. So back to the story.
Yeah.
Businesses start running away, and within no time you left, the guy who was at the top, they realized, hey, it's actually I created my own force identity of being at the top,
Sure.
and it's great
Yeah.
if they choose to learn from it.
One thing that, like I was saying, it is good for a business owners or probably founders
Yeah,
to really focus on the back end. We focus on the front end whereby you want to sell. You have targets you want to reach. And
Yeah.
so you push it down the throat of your employees.
Yeah.
Or you want an output. Even when you go to social media, you want to convert followers to, to
Customers,
buyers,
yeah.
to customers and everything. And therefore, it makes you forget the purpose of the business because you want to see results.
yeah,
Like you have said, you find that we find ourselves in this loop whereby we want to make money and result into material or objects, shiny objects, so that we can be able to brag to people who we even don't like,
shiny
or people
objects.
who don't even like us.
Yes.
So for me, the reason why I really focus on people, first of all, this is something that was given to me when growing up by my mother. My mother is a retired teacher.
Nice.
And so
That explains why this guy is so good at explaining stuff
my
to
dad
people.
my dad too was a teacher.
Hey.
And so what my mother did was he didn't like positions.
She didn't like positions. Okay.
Either of leadership or of power.
Yeah.
On the contrary, my dad loved that.
Tell me about it.
So my mother would be given positions either at school or in the church, and it would really bother her when she would come back home. And then we would ask her, so did you take the position? She would be like, no, I told them and I would not want to be on the spotlight.
Yeah.
And so it would really bother her because even when she would narrate to us, she was like, no, I don't want these positions. I don't want to be on the spotlight. Secretary, I don't know, chair lady. I don't like those. If we are like, let's say, in a chama or those groups, I would rather be that person who wears the leso and goes to the kitchen to prepare chapatis for the guests. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And for people who want to have those positions whereby they get respected, more often than not, they are disrespected.
Yeah.
It hurts their ego, and they resolve to, bad, silly decisions.
Yeah.
So my mother, even though you will tell her she's nothing, or you would say anything that would hurt her, it would not have an impact on her, because at the end of the day, she's not up there.
Yeah.
She's down here with you guys. So whatever you say is like you are mirroring who you are.
Yeah.
So again, it would not have an impact on her.
That's
So
that's
that
great
is
self-esteem. Yeah.
Sure. So that is something that I got from her. And so nowadays, what I have been, though I've done a lot of self-improvement and self-learning,
Yeah.
whereby how can I resonate with people? How can I, for me to get an information across people, how can I get them to get this information?
Yeah.
It's not like I want to, pump things on their head and be like a dictator. For you to do this, for you to have your extension serving you well, you need to do this and you need to do this.
Yeah.
But I will attack it from this point. I'm talking to myself.
Mhm.
Like, I would start a video like this. If I wanted my extension to last longer, this is what I would do. I would ensure that I connect this iron box and turn on the iron box after I turn it on at the extension.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to myself. So I'm not like pushing things down your throat. So I want you to mirror what I am doing.
That has
As
worked
opposed,
for you.
yes, that has worked for me, as opposed to me pushing down what I know to you, because
Yeah.
you will resent me. You'll be like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
What authority does he have to tell me how to operate my iron box in my house and follow
Yeah.
or report account? That is why there are so many people who have their accounts reported and they don't have big numbers.
But I think you just said the real root cause of that problem.
Yeah.
One thing is the shiny object syndrome,
Yes.
right? They just want they just want to be on the spotlight, and that's what they think too much. Because again, it's very, very, success is kind of deceptive.
Sure.
I think Bill Gates once said it tricks men into thinking that they can't fail.
Yeah.
And so part of that failing is like you think that what got you there doesn't need to be done, so you've arrived. And I think the most important thing that you said, which is that the real thing in terms of dealing with this menace, is self improvement.
Sure.
The fact that John, you came out of school, you didn't settle for less.
Yeah.
When I mean settling for less, means the basic school credentials. You just went out there and you start learning things on your own.
Yeah.
That, my friend, that's the real meaning of education.
Thank you.
Education meaning like, hey, by the way, education, if you turn the pages in Think and Grow Rich even to our readers right now, because as John is about to tell you, success and self-development, both in business or in any accomplishment, they have to be hand in hand.
100%.
I think in there he says it's a Greek word which means eduko, and eduko means to draw out, to remove from within. It has to come from that thing inside, and the only thing that can help you remove that is to be super articulative in what you do.
Yeah.
And to be articulative is growing your level of consciousness
Yeah.
through intellect, right?
Mm.
How do you communicate in a modern world? Like, I remember you told me that you went out of your own comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
to study to learn how to do things on social media, to create videos.
Yeah.
I remember how you were telling me how tough it was.
Mm-hmm.
And look at you now. You persisted through, you pushed through,
Mm-hmm.
you made those videos regardless of how tough it was. And then you
Absolutely.
know you know at a place where people are now admiring your results. I hear the other day you were just invited to a huge meeting with some of the big dogs in the country,
Absolutely.
and it's a privilege to have you on our show, by the way.
Thanks for having me back again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So,
man.
I'm pretty sure there are some solopreneurs and some business owners watching this, or the
Mm.
people who want to start business in the future, and they would like to use social media in the right way as the
Mm.
right channel to reach to the audience and connect with them.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about how you approach your problem building, capabilities in terms of what you learned along the way in terms of creating the right videos that work for you,
Mm-hmm.
your process of creating the videos and distributing them, how you post them, and what it takes to actually go from creating a video to actually posting it.
Right. Great question. Now, first of all, very important aspect in everything that you do in life is you have to put in the hard work.
Yeah.
So I remember I used to wake up early in the morning and focus on educating myself on how platforms work.
Nice.
And the way I take social media is, I think, very different from how other individuals take social media. Myself, I take it with a lot of seriousness.
Hmm.
Like I told you, I don't uh, produce content as though I was producing for platforms. I produce content as though I'm producing for real people. Like
Yeah.
real people, we are having these conversations. And so I will know that if at all I talk a certain way, I know on the other end, someone will react a certain way. And so different platforms have different ways of approaching them. And on the other side, different people receive your messages differently. So you really have to be very careful. Myself, I really invested in how are people on TikTok responding to your content as opposed to how they will respond on YouTube. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about the same individual who is on TikTok behaves differently on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the same person will also behave differently while on Facebook.
Yeah.
So for every platform, I really invested on the knowledge. How do I approach this same person on TikTok and approach the same person differently on Facebook?
Hmm.
So I had to invest a lot of time and information on that. And that is what people will not want to face.
Really?
The hardship of understanding different platforms
Yeah.
and also understanding the psychology of people as they are interacting with those apps. So there is a time, to your point, how I grew from zero to the numbers. There's a time when I was understanding how TikTok works, tied to how a person operates
Mhm.
while on TikTok. Getting that information, I would wake up every day at 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
and go to YouTube and try to understand your mindset while navigating TikTok. And I lost weight. Why? Because that time I was not even eating right. I was not focusing on sleep. I was not even going to the gym. I was not working out. Because another thing with myself is like, once I set my heart to do something, I will go hard on it. I will be ready to lose everything until I get it. The hardest thing with me sometimes is getting me to stop.
Yeah.
When growing up, I would go to the ceilings. I would decide to, understand how a bulb holder operates or a switch, and I would not even eat until I get to the bottom of things. So
Yeah.
that once I understand how that thing works, I'm telling you, I will even teach any person who probably was referred to as someone whose mind was not able to get things.
Yeah.
But I will make sure that I help that person to get it.
You know, it's very funny for those of you who haven't interacted you on a one-on-one basis like I have. I have sat with John, and the only thing that is running in his mind, and mind you, we're traveling somewhere, going maybe on some errands you're running, and John is like, "Hey, man, I just want to explain this thing." As simply as a guy who is non-technical seated in
Yeah.
an office, he's never touched a socket in his entire life,
Mhm.
and he's left in the house by himself,
Mhm.
no phone call to call, and
Yeah.
he needs that socket fixed as soon as possible.
Mhm.
He needs just to go onto my channel and
Yeah.
get the message from point A to point Z
Mm.
without understanding anything, just
Mhm.
looking at it and just implementing.
Absolutely.
And I was like, dude, that is, you put so much energy into your craft. I ain't gonna lie.
Absolutely. First of all, for anything good to come out, there is a portion of unseen efforts that has been put into it.
Yeah.
Many people are not willing to do the work, and that is why I take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I can put myself through a lot of pain, a lot of hardships.
Yeah.
There is a day in a week that I don't eat deliberately.
Tell me about it.
And that is to remind my mind
Yeah.
that you're not here on this earth for fun. So don't be on your comfort zone. We have a lot to do. Get up, get going. So I remember there's even a time that I had to switch that day from Wednesday to Saturday.
Yeah.
And now for my body to adjust from that to a new way of doing things, it was also a lot of pain. And the reason why I do that is so that if, let's say today I wanted to learn about a certain concept, like I might even want to learn about spaceships and what Elon Musk is doing, I'll put myself through a lot of sacrifice, get the materials, try to learn. If I don't get the calculations, I will still go back until I can be able to explain to a 5-year-old child until they get it.
Yeah.
The reason why I do that is so that when I meet a layman, I can be able to do it in a simple way. And so many clients have approached me and told me that, you know why I trusted you is because you explained how a certain thing in my house works until I within the first few seconds I'm able to understand what you're talking about.
Man, I'm telling you, for sure.
So the putting in the work,
Yeah.
which is something that people don't see on the back end, like reading books, waking up very early, sacrificing time. Those are some of the things that are very difficult for people to do, and it is all about controlling your mind into switching yourself to this human being who has to do this or has to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And therefore, I noticed that it was difficult even with myself at first.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came to realize that even for people in the world, it is difficult for them to do that,
Yeah.
to put in the work, the time, the sacrifice. And therefore, I had to force my body to switch into this human being who can sacrifice his time, go through a lot of hardships to get something done. And so that, imagine this. If today you learnt about how an instant shower head operates, do you know that you will not have to go on another journey of pain to understand how it works? Because it's already in you.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, this podcast. I know at the beginning you had to put in a lot of work to understand what works,
Yeah.
how the lighting works, the sound and everything. But once it clicks, it is now automated. you know.
Yeah.
So if today I wanted to set up like a system, a whole setup like this, the right person to call for that is definitely you, because you have lived in the journey. And uh,
I call it being in the trenches.
being in the trenches. I've
Yeah.
also talked about electrician trenches.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to first of all pay the price, and myself, I paid the price, so that today I understand very well there's a content that I can create, and it will do so well on a certain platform on a certain day at a certain time. If for instance I know that if this content, if I post it at around 10:30 on TikTok, it will do very well than when I post it on YouTube same day, same time. And I know that on YouTube, like let's say on a Sunday at around 1:58,
Yeah.
if I post a short at that particular time, it will do even better than posting a long format video on the same platform at around 8 p.m.
Uh-huh.
Before I get to understand that, it is some hard work that I had to do.
Yeah.
So, and that hill, you know, in everything that you do, there is a hill that you have to overcome before you automate everything. That is what people are not willing to do, and that is where I take advantage.
I remember the last CEO of Safaricom, Bob
Mhm.
Collymore.
Mhm.
He used to have a saying that you can never be a professional photographer unless you've put in 10,000 hours into your craft.
Absolutely.
And when I look at the 10,000 hours, all you need to do is learn two things.
Mm.
Be consistent at what you're doing. You're doing the same things, works, in and out so many times over and over again until you achieve two things. The first one is the art.
Mhm.
The second one is the science. How does that thing work behind it? That is the science.
Yeah.
The art. All right. So if this thing is working, what are the best way of making it work even better? And then you come to the most simplistic way of how that thing is working.
Mm.
And for you, the science is in electricity, right? It's what's making the thing work.
Mhm.
But for people to understand it is how you deliver that.
Sure.
That is an art.
Yeah.
And an art is not something that is given. It's something that has to be acquired
Mhm.
through intensity, through intention, through you putting yourself in the trenches actually and digging them, figuring out, hey man, at this stage we did not need hose anymore. We needed an excavator, or we needed the science. You can't unless you're in the trenches. You can't know what needs to be done,
Absolutely.
or the rocks you're gonna encounter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I appreciate about it. So Judy, are you able to throw up the Facebook account and also the YouTube account for John so that people can see and understand what we're talking about? In the meantime, as she's looking that up, you just brought that concept up because a lot of people even today and I think success is also correlated to the age
Yeah.
that you're in. The fact that one thing is, I appreciate you because you're at a specific age where you've had so much experience dealing with people.
Mhm.
And that also correlates within your business because if you look at so many people who are below 25,
Yeah.
they're much less likely to succeed in the business. Do you know why?
Mhm.
Because there's so much in their heads. They don't have too much experience dealing with people, right? Working a person who just came out of school the other day, they've been taught the concept you just work, you just go out there, take your certificate to somebody, and just like that, boom, they give you a job and you start making money.
Mhm.
That's the concept that they've been taught.
Yeah.
And you
Sure.
coming into the real world, meaning you throwing that away and figuring out what works
Mm.
at this specific time.
Mhm.
Because school is like preparing to leave a world that no longer exists.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that makes sense.
Makes
Yes,
a lot of sense.
some principles may still be in existence. For example, every electrician is equipped with the same knowledge, with the
Yeah.
same expertise.
Mhm.
But not so many electricians go out there to understand, hey, how do I communicate with my clients? If I go to the house, if I go to some place I'm being called to do business, How do I make them feel comfortable about trusting me? Not
Mm.
just about my work, but about me as an individual and my craft.
Mhm.
Show that through the passion that I come with. Because that's what we're brought on this planet to do, to serve other people. But
Yeah.
it's not just service, it's how you deliver the service. That's an art, right?
Mhm.
It has
Mhm.
to come out from you somehow. You have to develop it.
Mm.
It doesn't come easy, as you say,
Sure.
right? So a lot of people don't have that,
Mm.
and that's something I do appreciate. So even here at Boss Lifestyle Club, because we're gonna be taking the journey of, actually, we aim at bringing not everybody to our show
Yeah.
because we could possibly do that.
That's nice.
We want to bring folks like you who've been in the trenches
Yeah.
and people who understand what it is like to not have an overnight success,
Mhm.
and prepare the young guys who want to be successful,
Mhm.
see that other people have accomplished it,
Mhm.
and it's not a far-fetched dream as long as they are pointed in the right direction.
Sure.
We give them the tools by by sharing the incredible information with guests such as yourself,
Mhm.
and then they're good to go. Maybe they'll be like cannonballs. They'll be the next John.
Yeah. Actually, I like the point that you've talked about being in the trenches
Yeah.
and not liking instant success, because what I believe in is
Judy, also please throw up that Facebook page as we move on, as John is telling us about being in the trenches.
yeah. I don't know whether my sound will be okay,
Yeah,
but when it lags,
just
get there. Is that okay?
yeah, it's okay.
That,
It's okay.
That,
Yeah,
that height.
yeah, that's right.
Mm.
All right, there we go. Stop height, electricals and electricians,
Yeah.
electricals and electronics.
Electricians. That was an error done there by my designer, and that's why I fired them. And they say fire them if they cannot comply.
Yeah, if they cannot comply,
Yeah.
you told them that hey, you need to rectify this. They stopped.
No. Actually, I realized that they were not very keen on their work, so a lot of corrections had to be done, and I was like, this person is not really serious.
They were just
But
wasting
again, I
time.
always give room for improvement, so I hope
All right.
things will be great.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Let's go on. Let's just proceed on that. Like the page. Just want people to see because you told them, what it is like putting the work into your brand. That's almost 40. You're closing in on 40k followers.
Yeah. So this is Facebook.
Yeah.
Also, for me to understand how to, grow on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn about the platform. I had to learn about the people who I'm dealing with, because like you said about interacting with followers,
Yeah.
you know, uh, when the first people you meet, you talk with them in a good manner,
Mm-hmm. Scroll down. Scroll down.
then there's a very high chance that these people will still come back. They will find you interesting and they will want to engage with you further.
Yeah.
So what I did was, once I started getting some few comments,
Uh-huh.
some few followers, I would engage them.
Nice.
I will talk with them nicely so that they will find a reason to still come back.
Yeah.
They always say when someone knocks at your door, you usher them in,
Yes.
you offer them a glass of water like the way you've done, make them feel
Thank you.
comfortable
Mm-hmm.
so that they will have the desire to still come back to you.
Yes, sir.
But if you are harsh at the door, they will never knock your door again.
Correct.
And you don't know the goodies that these people are coming with.
Mhm.
Probably they will bring some good stuff with them,
Yeah.
and they might go out there and even come with people of the
Yeah.
like-minded people,
Yes.
people who will also bring goodies. So at the end of the day, it's you who is benefiting.
Snowballing success.
Absolutely. So if, for instance, today you mistreat someone, how do you expect them to come and also to bring goodies. And you also talked about business and also the electricians. I like talking about the electrician trenches so much because I've been there and I'm
Yeah.
still there, and I hope that I will be there for a while,
Yeah.
because I'm not a person who is really invested in success, instant gratification, and
Yeah.
my main focus is to make the world better than I found it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Life is short,
It is.
and so there is a time that I used to really be fixated on money, money, money. I used to chase money, but I would never get it.
And it's a funny thing. I see that on social media. People chasing money, chasing money, chasing money. We are
Yeah.
all so fixated on money.
Mhm.
Even the church is telling us that if you bring the 10%, it has to be money.
Mhm.
Which I see that is not the fundamentals. The fundamental is this.
Yeah.
And I want to know your feedback for a viewers who's telling us this. The fundamentals are this. If you work on yourself and you giving out what you've worked yourself on, that is the real thing.
Mhm.
Because people are willing to pay you to help them upgrade their life,
Absolutely.
to help them live better, to help them do things they cannot do.
Mhm.
And that is the constant exchange of value, right? And that's the concepts that money holds.
Yeah.
Money is an energy. You take that energy and give it to somebody in exchange of the energy that they have helped you or your business with.
Mhm.
And the concept of, I don't know, just go out there, chase the paper, you're going to keep on chasing it. You're going to keep on chasing it, that's for sure.
Very
And when you
correct.
get it, it's never going to be enough.
Mm. I like the way you've put it, that money is, it's just transferable. It's as a result of solving, a problem. So like energy, the way you've put it, for us, we normally say that you cannot create energy.
Correct.
You only transfer it.
Yeah.
So even for I think for money, even though I'm not so good in that subject, what I think is money is just transferred.
Yeah.
And out of you solving a certain problem, like let's say myself, I've been solving people's problems in the sense that if, for instance, you have a problem with your electricity bills, you are paying a lot of bills. A lot of people come to my inbox and tell me, why is it that I have been paying 2,000 shillings, and for the past like 3 months, I've been paying an average of 5,000 shillings. Nothing has changed. The consumption of my appliances in the house are still the same. But what is happening with my electricity? And so I know how it happens. Probably I will advise them that check on your tariff, check on your connections. Blah, blah,
What is the
blah.
tariff?
Probably you see, like for us here in Kenya, we normally have, okay, I keep mentioning Kenya because I have followers from outside
Abroad,
Kenya.
yeah.
Yes. So for us here, we have tariffs from, like, let's say for one unit you can pay 12 bob. For another tariff you can pay 36 bob per unit. Those are still domestic units tariffs. And for commercial, 100 plus.
Okay.
So for you to get into a certain tariff, it depends on how much you buy the units. If you keep buying, those people who don't want to do a lot of work, they want to buy in bulk. Now the system places you on that tariff. If you have been buying like the 100 bob shillings, you are probably on the 12 bob per unit.
Okay.
But if you like buying in bulk, like you buy 3,000, 5,000, the system detects that this guy is on commercial. This guy is not domestic. And so the reason why he's buying tokens worth this much is because he's consuming a lot of tokens.
Okay.
So the system places you on commercial. The problem, we are told, is if you buy over, if you are on commercial, it is 100 plus. But what if it was 500 per unit? So that is why you find that people are spending a lot of money on something that they shouldn't be. So what I normally advise people is if you have been buying in bulk,
Yeah.
start going lower so that the system will place you on a lower unit, on a lower tariff. So if, for instance, you are buying tokens worth 5,000, start buying tokens worth 1,000 bob. In a period of 3 months, the system will now adjust to what you are doing. Another thing is,
So the
yes,
system is, 100% automated,
yes,
and it's also like an algorithm.
yes,
You just feed the beast according to how the beast is fed.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
The craving of the beast will always haunt you if at all you keep feeding it.
That
So
makes
The
sense.
best thing for you to calm the beast down and to speak to it and tell it like, today you are eating 500 and I expect you to give me the same amount of output. It is all in your hands.
But aren't people afraid that, the fact that they might lack out, or the beast might miss on understanding what they want to achieve, and then they might go dark for a couple of hours or maybe the remaining days of the month?
But again, you see, the power is in your hands.
Yes.
You have to monitor your system.
Okay.
If, for instance, today you have 5 units, and you know that one can only last you a day, then you buy in advance, so that if there are delays in the system, you are able to attack that in advance, because sometimes there are delays. Another thing whereby you can lose your money is if your house wiring has a lot of issues, like loose connections, a lot of faults.
Yeah.
You wake up one day, there is a bulb that is not working, you replace it, it's not working, or a certain circuit breaker is down and you don't know the reason. That is a symptom of a fault in your wiring. You
Yeah.
need to sort it out so that your electricity consumption can be moderate. It's just like a sick person. If you are sick because of consuming certain foods or certain drugs,
Yeah.
and you keep spending a lot of money going to the hospital, you need to fix your system
Yeah.
so that your system doesn't eat into your savings or eat into your money. So in the same way, if it's in your house, your business, you must be able to fix that solution. And that is what we have really been doing at Top Heights. Now, to your point of solving problems so that you can make money. Ours is about solving problems. I
Yeah.
stopped chasing money a long time ago. And I am
Glad you did. Yeah.
I'm so huge in solving problems. And the reward
It's
is incredible.
and there's fulfillment.
Absolutely.
You see, I meet a lot of young people, both genders, ladies and guys, and sometimes you hear the kind of goals they have, and they're sort of unrealistic. Unrealistic in the sense that you want more money than you're cut out to offer the value for. So the question is, because you're forcing your mind, and a mind is a powerful thing, you're forcing your mind to be on that level. Your mind then is going to find you solutions which are supposed to shortcut the process. And that's why people, they just want to go on get rich quick schemes, Forex. By the way, I hate Forex for that matter. And I know you're going to hate me for that, my
No,
viewers.
I'm not into it so hard though.
Yeah, the reason why I hate Forex trading is, and, what do you call this?
But is it making money for the guys who are in it?
Let me know who is wrong. For the person, if you're making money from Forex, let me know if I'm wrong. I hate Forex for this matter. No matter how much money you can make from Forex, I feel like the essence of fulfillment is taken out, because there's not another person, there's not single person, there's not there's no other people at the back of your screen that you're delivering services to. And what that gives you is like success that is hollow, if at all you make that money. And oftentimes 90% of the time people aren't going to make the money, because that's I'd say a centralized system that you absolutely have no control over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a person, you have control over that person, because the better you make yourself at it, the better you offer the value, and the more you increment increase because you're able to train other people and increase your capacity to handle the services, or you're able to grow that as a business. But forex, how do you train other people to be as good as you? Or sometimes it even becomes like a thing of the chance, where once the wind blows in the right direction, then the winning comes over. If it blows on the other direction, your money is all taken away. You know what I'm saying? And then, and most people get to lose it. So it becomes an addiction, like gambling. And that's what forex is not good at. Maybe the better part of the forex you want to understand is maybe how countries work.
Yeah.
For example, the forex that was there when the state of the country, the dollar was kind of high, and that means you needed more Kenyan money to get the dollar. So that means if you had your money in dollars, then your whole goal was to figure out when is this thing gonna come crashing down, and before it does crash down, then you sell the dollar, and then now you'll be with a lot of Kenyan money. Now,
Is it based on predictions?
yeah, okay, so that one is based on these, how the currency is going, like the economics of a country. Like when we had the shortage with fuel, it wasn't because of shortage of fuel. It was because fuel was becoming too expensive to buy because there was scarcity of the dollar. How that scarcity was driven, I don't know. Maybe it was just some farms that decided, you know what, we're going to hoard all the dollars that we have. And then week after week, we're seeing we just moved from 120, now it's 130, then the next week it's 140, and then the next week it's 150, and then the next week it's 160. Like $1 equals 160 something. And then you're like, oh my goodness, if you're having the dollar at that time, it's good news for you.
Sure.
But that's something that comes naturally. You don't need to force it.
Yeah.
For me, I learned these things because I work on an international market. So that means once I get paid, it's something that I don't really have to force on it.
Yeah.
You just learn how money works within your field,
Yeah.
and how the ecosystem with the money is tied on that field. That's something I was able to learn. With the forex thing, you can't learn how the USD and the USD versus the euro are relating with each other, because yes, there could be something happening on the ground, but yes, you're using a broker to dictate how you want to get paid on that.
Yeah.
And then just like that, things happen in between, and you have no control over. That's why focusing solely on money is not as much as fulfilling. And remember, we're humans.
Yeah.
We're here to have a feeling. Like, it's like I tend to see like my work as sort of marriage. If there is no emotion, as much as we are men and we go out there, we do things because of that emotional feeling. Hey, at the end of the day, I poured it out.
Yeah.
I did my best. X and X got their lives better because somehow I was the vessel pouring what I needed to pour out. That is that emotion that is a key driver in whatever thing we do, and that's fulfillment. And fulfillment is even better when you got some passion, because you're able to recognize. You recognize that, and that becomes like the good feedback to keep on going. The issue is now the people saying that all this is eventually, and let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. Eventually, the people gonna suffer from burnout. Your mind becomes too confused because what you're feeding it, the goal you're trying to feed it of chasing money, chasing the bag, becomes too overstretched. You can't reach it. So as a result, you became narcissistic. And the reason you became narcissistic is because you can't see the world as it is, where you're at, and accepting the current reality. You have to accept the reality and then see you see what you have and how you can use that to give value to somebody else. You see what I like about what you do? Is because you've discovered that, hey, here's what I have. I'm not going to reinvent the system. I'm going to reinvent what I know. And what I know is, okay, here's the basic principle. So if I take this and do it to the best of my ability, for sure, no matter how simplistic it is, you've already accepted that. And you come from a place of openness. Then people recognize that and they say that is genuine. Unlike you can't do anything because that's too below your means. Oh, I can't do that because that's not gonna pick. People don't like that. You don't know what they like. First, accept it,
Sure.
and then build on from that. Because I think, John, you also know my story, right?
Absolutely.
When I was starting from absolutely nowhere,
Mm.
and one thing also my mom taught me was failure is inevitable,
Yeah.
but failure will always teach you more about yourself than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And what comes after failure is if you accept the lesson, then you accept your current reality. And if you accept your reality, you will move from that failure and learn from it quickly
Yeah.
than if you just sit down there and start sobbing.
Yeah.
Yes, some people do get amount of money they want,
Mm.
no matter how much unrealistic they can be. For example, a bad goal, such as I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25, or
Mm.
I want to be, X amount of millions by the time I'm 30, or even this amount of. It's okay. Sometimes you need that egotistical game, but when that becomes your sole driver, once you don't hit that goal, what happens? Your self-esteem get crushed.
Yeah.
Your self of confidence becomes dwindled,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have to figure out why that didn't work. A lot of people quit because they had unrealistic expectations. But if instead they took the same energy, they said, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm gonna figure it out how to be the best at my craft, and I'm gonna figure out how to reach as many people as I can through my craft. Guess what? No matter what, that person will always have a reason to wake up in the morning.
Sure.
And that's all it counts, because day by day, hour by hour, that's all we have anyways.
Mm.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was also the difference, the two goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think I used to be one of those two.
Yeah.
I don't know. This stuff it's starting to see like it's your podcast, but I like
No,
it.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm also learning.
Yeah, I used to be one of those guys who used to believe that money is the driver of everything.
Yeah.
And so I used to be fixated on just chasing the money. I think we all do at some point, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And yes, I was driven for sure, but I don't think that is the kind of drive I want. We've seen how a president's so driven by money.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, you can't blame him. What you can blame is the goal that he's feeding himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because once we learned the true goal he had between the motive of the finance bill, everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because we knew this guy was only materialistic instead of peopleistic. So materialistic I was right there in the office.
Mm-hmm.
I thought my goal was to do everything to get the cash.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that was you burn a lot of bridges along the way. Some bridges that are not meant to be built to be burnt. You develop a huge blind spot that you can't tolerate people who are telling you the truth, other than the people who are trying to reaffirm your narcissistic ideologies. But again, life catches up, as I told you.
Mm.
You suffer burnout because the goal you have in your head might need you to take 30 years of you not focusing on the goal, but you focusing on building what you can at that moment.
Mm.
And so you expecting to reach a 10-year goal within 1 month or a year. How impossible is that? I think I credit a lot of things to also what you do, which I also do, which is for viewers, that is improving ourselves. It's good to sit with a book and learn some concepts about money. And a good reference would be the principle psychology of money. I've talked about it a lot with House of Morgan. And one thing I like about this book is, if you've read other books such as the classics, such as Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich is great. But if you're focusing solely on money, you realize that along that time, that's during the 1900s, when Carnegie was getting born, the moguls in business, J.P. Morgan and Rockefellers and Thomas Edison's, there were other rich gurus that Napoleon Hill wrote in other books, such as The Secret of Success. And they did some bizarre shit. like they committed suicide. Others went to jail because of, they became crazy about the ideology of getting money, or because the monopoly was so huge, the gap between the rich and the poor was so wide, and so what they did was insane,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result, they lost their humanness and solely became driven by money, and that was the problem. But the only person who made it huge was the person who discovered to give half of their money or even all of their money, the essence of giving. Carnegie gave all his money to charity, built a lot of libraries in USA, Carnegie libraries, Carnegie halls. You'll know such.
Yeah.
Rockefeller, there's a Rockefeller Foundation. Edison, he found out to have some sort of foundation, right?
Yeah.
And all because they learn how to give. Because the essence of giving, sometimes it's not just giving the money as well.
Yeah.
It's also giving the energy.
Mm.
It's also giving your values, what you've learned to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do that, if you hoard the information, you're gonna die with it anyways,
Yeah.
and you're gonna die miserably because you that secrets turn you into narcissist, or when you become a hoarder, then that's the kind of energy that you take to life. And these principles are just meant to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the same concept that I see people in jobs too, that they'll never tell their spouses how much money they make.
Mm.
I don't know whether that makes them better of a man, but to my experience, I don't think that makes anybody better. Because how can you plan a future with somebody
Uh-huh.
who's supposed to be your number one cheerleader? You've vetted everyone else, you've gone ahead and chosen them,
Yeah.
and yet you cannot tell them how much money you make.
Mm.
You see, what you make that secret, what you just did, you just planted a seed of enmity between the two of you.
Mm.
Like you try to move forward, but because you can't come back to the same page, which is like the underlying issue
Yeah.
of being on the same page so that you can build a better future. You see, a lot of men think that ni kupangiwa and all that kind of stuff,
Kaliwa and stuff.
kukaliwa and stuff. But I don't think that is the ideology. I see it as a company.
Yeah.
You have partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner takes 50%, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not having companies do have AGMs,
Yeah.
annual general meetings. They call all their partners, even if you have 1% of the share of the company.
Mm.
And what they tell you is this: we last year we made this amount of cash. Last year we lost this amount of cash.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we made this amount of cash. We made this amount of cash from doing so as so and so and so, and we lost the amount of cash doing so and so and so and so. And so what you realize is that opens a page of openness, so that even if you are moving together, you're on the same boat.
Mm.
Because no matter what, I'm open. You have my back as a partner, and I have your back. We are here on the same goal. But when you create that selfish desire, which is always fueled by how much money, by always chasing the money, that is the real decline in anything. I don't think that ever helps anybody in doing anything. And a lot of us have to discover this through hard failings, figuring out the hard way.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like about that. Judy, are we able to go on YouTube? I want to show people what John has got. I think I've spoken a lot.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
My audience too will be learning a lot from you, because I've only been bombarding them with technical stuff.
Yeah.
These concepts of finance, personal improvement, I don't talk about them much,
Yeah.
because I'm not good in that area, and I always prefer focusing on what I know best.
Yeah.
Personal growth or improvement is important, because again, uh, that one would help me to really relate with my audience,
Yeah.
because I am telling about my